thank you for all of you who are making the time to be here today. I see that we have a lot of people that are joining, but not in camera. And soon I'm going to ask you to be, if you are able to. If you are driving, please do not do it. But if you just have your hair messed up, nobody cares. So I am working from home right now and I am very well dressed up here, but I have a very horrible socks. So it's fine if you look whatever you want to look. And as Laura said, today we are going to be talking a little bit of how I tackle selling in a tough economy and how I have been doing this with my customers, with my clients. And maybe at the end of the session, you can have something of yourself. Before I do, first of all, I don't hope you can read these very tiny letters, words in your screen. It's just for me to remind myself that I need to ask your permission to be in front of you today by giving you a little bit of who I am, because I think when we get into somebody's house or company, you gotta be somebody that they can trust. This is going to be like the first rules, in my opinion. You gotta build trust before you do anything with anyone. As Laura said, my beautiful accent comes from Brazil, so I am American Brazilian, living here in Michigan in the beautiful Rochester. Very different from the huge city that I was born, São Paulo. And I have been living here in Michigan for 9 years now. And we moved because of GM. My husband works for GM for 27 years now. And when I moved, I was running my training company in Brazil. And as many of you may be familiar, when a spouse move, he or she or they might have to give up of what they are doing and start over. This is what I did, and I proudly can say that after I came to Michigan, I worked for many great companies, including GM, for 5 years. And now I decided to take the leap of faith and come back to what I love doing, that is being in sales. And I proudly say I am a saleswoman and helping people to feel proud as well. I am the honorary consul of Brazil in Michigan, and this is a very beautiful title for something that is not super fun to do. That is, I handle domestic violence, imprisonment, hospitalization, and a lot of difficult things for Brazilians living outside Brazil, specifically in Michigan. And I have a master's degree, a bachelor's in human resources, and also an associate's in marketing and sales. And I have a bunch of complicated certifications that I'm not going to bother you with. I speak Portuguese, I speak English, and I can be dangerous in Spanish. But I hope by being a proud member of the Michigan Hispanic Chamber, I can improve on my, at the moment, Portuñol. So it's a mix of my Portuguese. Again, if you are able to, please turn on your camera. And the reason why I ask, it's because it's not me talking all the time. I'm going to ask you a little bit of engagement because I want you to experience this by yourself. One of the rules at Sandler is that people don't argue with their own data, meaning that anything that I'm saying here, I'm not trying to convince you of anything. This is our experience. This is something that psychologists have been studying for a long time, and my personal experience as well. But it's not something that you would need to buy on. Like you may have your own opinions, and I will ask you about it. And of course, if you are with your camera off, chances are that you are multitasking. So you are not doing this or not doing anything else properly, if you will. If you are eating, it's fine if you have your camera on. What is going to happen? We are just going to want to eat what you are eating. So maybe you can DoorDash to my house. But other than that, it's fine if you are eating. We are fine with that. You can also say hello on the chat. And it's kind of a bit of networking opportunity as well. If you can put your name and maybe your company's name and your contact information, who knows? Maybe somebody here needs your services and can reach you right away after we disconnect. I'm not following the chat, so Laura offered to help me out with that so I can be very focused on you. And as well, you can use reactions from the chat, from the reactions in Zoom. If you look down or up in your screen, you are going to see a little heart, twisted heart. And when you click there, you can raise your hand, you can send some hearts. You can cry with me or laugh, whatever you want. But we are all used to the Latino Hispanic culture here. Even you, Jeff, that you are a very polite person, you can completely unmute yourself and say whatever you want. You are not going to be rude by any means. You just make sure that you talk. Does that make sense? So let me start by putting together an upfront contract. That is something that I teach at Sandler, meaning that every time that I start a meeting, I make sure what I want from the meeting. Otherwise, we finish the meeting just try to scratching our heads. Why was I here? What was the purpose? So my purpose here first, there's no tricky sales strategies. I am not trying to sell anything to you, at least not today. I don't expect you to buy anything from me. One thing that I expect is at the end of the session, you tell me your lessons learned, and if you want to continue having a conversation to maybe explore possibilities of joining the Sandler family and see how I can help you, you can tell me yes, but you can absolutely tell me no. No, Tachi, this is not for me. I am not going to cry. No hard feelings. One thing that I cannot stand is a maybe. Because for me, a maybe is a nightmare, a never ending nightmare. And I believe all of us that try to sell something to someone, the worst thing that you can hear from a client or a prospect is, let me think through it. Meaning, oh, I'm not ready. So, a yes or no to continue one on one conversation. And finally, if you have a referral, somebody that maybe it's going to be beneficial for them to meet with me or just participate on this kind of lunch and learn. This is something that I use as my technique to sell. I go to companies, I go to events, and I can do these mini classes, whatever is needed for people. Thumbs up? Like, do we have an agreement? Perfect. Let's start our day today with a little game. And Jeff, you already seen this, so you pretend you never did because you came to my launching, and Mark, you were there too. I am going to put up on the screen a bunch of numbers. And what you have to do is to find the numbers in sequence. Count in your head the numbers from one, two, three, four. Find the numbers in sequence. And then you memorize to yourself how many you were able to find. The rules are clear. Mark, maybe you should have now get better on this. I will give you 30 seconds, counting on my stopwatch here, to find as many numbers in sequence you can do. It's starting right now. I don't even can cheat because you can see the stopwatch, can you? No? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let me go back to my timer here. And then I want you to let me know if you can show your hands or maybe go to the chat. How many of you found five numbers max? 0 to 5 numbers. Laura, I'm going to open the chat to see here.
See
Nobody's putting.
a couple of hands up. Let's see, can we put it in the
Okay.
chat? It's yeah, I do see a couple of hands up.
And 5 to 10 numbers,
So 9.
10 to 15, more than 15.
Anyone did more than 15. Okay.
Nobody.
Angela
Okay.
Jones did 10 to 15.
Okay, 10 to 15
Guillermo
is
did
good.
15.
They are very good. So just keep to yourself now and don't forget how many you found. I'm giving you now a little bit of instructions here. Let me go back to my screen here and I'm going to give you instructions. Can you see like that I am dividing the big box in four boxes, right? So you'll see here on the left side, a yellow box, and then you see the red box, then another yellow, and then the orange or red box. What I'm doing here, I am giving you a space to find numbers instead of a whole space like the full page full of numbers. And now that I gave you this instruction, I want you to try it again. In 20 seconds, try to find as many numbers as you can. Counting right now. Okay. How many of you found more numbers than before? Okay, I see three hands. I don't know, like the people who doesn't have the cameras on. Anyone in the chat found more than before?
I did. I found more than before.
And anyone here can tell me why. What was your experience from the exercise? There's no right or wrong. It's just a
The
conversation.
grid, I think the grid provided greater focus, and narrowed the field, and we kind of segmented it and chunked it out.
Anyone else felt differently or similarly? So let me just explain this to you. What we did, we created a simple process to resolve a situation faster than before. Because imagine this, think about a doctor for a second. What do they do when they are trying to diagnose a problem? Can you imagine if your doctor says, let me try just something this time, and then next time I will try something else? With no clear direction or a process, just guessing until they figured it out. Would you trust them? Would you go back? No, right? When people follow a process, no matter in which area, they get reliable results. Look, for example, at professional athletes. How do they reach the standards they need to do to compete at the highest levels? How do they do it? By following a process. So they train such amount of time. They go to their coach such amount of time. They jump this much of time. They try again. And once they get to the Olympics, do they stop practicing? Of course not. If anything, they double down. I've seen this in my own career, and I was sharing this with Laura before. The best day and the worst day in my sales career was the day that I closed a big, massive deal. It was amazing because I achieved my goals, I achieved my quotas, I made a lot of money, but it was the worst as well because the next month I didn't know how to repeat it. Have you ever like got yourself thinking, why on earth I got this deal? Was I lucky? Was just because the person loved me? It's because I am nice? What was the reason that you closed a big deal? At the same time, sometimes we are hustling so much. We are working so hard, but we have no idea why we are not closing. You just think, I am going to this amazing Michigan Hispanic Chamber events. I am exchanging a bunch of cards. I am talking to people. I am doing this and I am having just 5 hours of sleep. Why am I'm not just turning my business where I want the business to be? It's really frustrating, isn't it? Anyone ever felt that way? And Laura, exactly. Would you trust luck versus strategy when it comes to your business? I wouldn't. Like I don't want to put my business on the lucky side of the house.
Exactly. And those raising your hand, don't be shy. Unmute or, let us know, how you feel or what you think along the way.
Yes, please. And since we know, we agree here that having a strategy, a process help us in many areas of our careers, let me just put in here on the screen a few sales top challenges that we have and we face. And then I will ask somebody just to jump in and help me out here a little bit. We all agree that having a process is beneficial. Whether you need to build one for your sales strategies, for you as a individual contributor and the business owner, the one doing everything by yourself, you need to build, implement, improve, or change it. Your sales process matters. Before we jump into solutions, my experience tells me that we need to dig a little bit deeper into what we are trying to fix. Every time that I go to a client or I'm delivering a session, I try to understand my clients' businesses, because one size do not fit all. Maybe I was looking to the people who are participating here. You come from different industries. You may have different struggles. At the same time, we all have similar things to handle when it comes to sales processes. Take a moment and think about your three top sales challenges. You can write them on the chat, jot them down in a piece of paper, or just keep them in your mind. You can use the examples that you see in your screen or bring something else that you have personally experienced it. And listen, we are all overachievers here. You can talk about your neighbor, a friend that you know, somebody else. Because a friend, all of us, we are great. We don't have problems. So we are talking on behalf of a friend, okay? Anyone here would like to share what would be, let's say, one of your top sales challenges here? You can unmute yourself or jot on the chat, whatever you like.
For me, Tati, sometimes it's giving too much free consulting. I'm a financial planner, like to educate on different products or financial solutions, and sometimes people obviously take advantage of that. So,
Yes, and I know you very well, and I know how hard you work to really educate people, but sometimes it's too much. They take advantage of us. Anybody else wants to share? What is your top main like sales challenges at the moment?
I'll speak for the chamber.
Mhm.
We need to continue to grow our alternative revenue streams, right? As we look to have programs and events and educational opportunities. And our revenue comes from membership dues, from sponsorships, and then from grants. So all of those streams, look to either support our operations or help expand our programming and outreach across the state. So, I mean, for us, those are sales in effect, right?
Mhm.
That we need to grow.
Yes, and then I would probably think that, I don't know, maybe you could shorten the sales cycle, like to have people to sign up as soon as possible, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you do too much free consulting as well. Dwayne?
Yeah, I was thinking kind of as Mark made his statement there, uh, probably helping me better identify those who I can help and those who I really can't help uh, or need other help. So, it's a certain level of activity that I need a client to be able to either already have or be able to sustain prior
Mm-hmm.
to my services, really having value to them. And there's some services that are free that they can get that I can maybe direct them to. So better being able to identify those and quicker in the process.
Mm-hmm. Can you remind the team here, what do you do?
We help small businesses and even large businesses get into federal contracting. So
Mm-hmm.
we're helping them to understand the ins and outs and better sell to the government.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I was in your website, and it's really hard to understand the ins and outs. So yes, I can understand where you are here. If anyone here wants to chime in and share, this here
Yeah.
is
I'm so sorry, Tati. We also
no,
have Ana Karina with BFit running. She put on the
please.
chat, finding the decision maker in the family. That's a key point that we don't always think about.
Exactly. And sometimes we are even like concerned or afraid or ashamed to ask, in addition to you, is there anybody else who are going to help you to make this decision? Yeah, Jita?
Yeah. For me, it's offering other services since we are highly recognized for our ornamental iron. Even if I speak about new services, I can be in a conversation with them and then they'll still go back, oh, so the reels you do are very beautiful when I'm trying to sell my new service. So it's like very hard to talk about the new services when they're looking at me and only thinking about what they know me for. I hope that was clear. So like for
Absolutely.
example, we sell like the ornamental iron and I'm trying to grow the powder coat side of the business. But even if I speak powder coat to people, all they see is iron.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I can never jump into conclusions and give you advice because I need to ask more questions. But this is what we usually teach, asking more questions and before even tell people what you do, because they have their own objections in their minds and they are going to share with you only if they want to. And this is very dangerous. And the reason why I'm saying this, it's because for us, the rule number one at Sandler is sales is a conversation between adults to uncover the truth. You are not in a sales conversation to just make friends. The thing is, and now I'm going to speak on behalf of Latino communities, but a lot of people, not only Latino communities, we are afraid of confronting someone by asking a direct and assertive question. And then we go to these meetings with our clients, our prospects. Jeff just go to somebody's house and try to talk to them. And Jeff is amazing. Like I'm talking about your neighbor, not you. And then people completely they do not share everything they need to share with you. And maybe you don't ask enough because you don't want to bother. We were educated to not bother people, not to ask about money. It's not your business. Not to go into too much details. It's not your business as well. So one thing that we need to understand when we are building our own processes, it's sales is a conversation between adults to uncover the truth. And if we are not willing to, if you are not willing to give me the truth, I am willing to fire you. Tough, right? I fired clients, and we all should feel empowered to fire clients as well, because it's not every client that is a client for us, and our time matters. But we only get into this point when you are really strong in your sales process and what you stand for. If you are dying to close that business, you are going to do everything that the buyer wants. And let's talk here about the buyer seller dance. We are not going super deep because this is one class that is 90 minutes just on top of this thing here. But just to give you a little glimpse of what I would say a typical seller system is. Typical. This is not mathematics, it's not precise. Maybe you do a little differently, maybe somebody else do something different. But typically, what we do as a sellers, we should first to conduct a needs analysis. We are going to ask questions and understand what the person needs. After we do, we present our proposal. If you are doing, send your proposal via email. If you are presenting before asking questions, don't tell me. I don't want to like, I don't want to know. But usually is you ask questions, you present, and then when you are presenting, you try to close. And depending on what you sell, if you are selling B2B, probably attempting to close will take like a longer time. Maybe it's a B2C, maybe when Jeff is with somebody else, like one-on-one, they might attempt to close right there. It all depends on your sales cycle, but this is the basic sequence. And then when you are attempting to close, you are going to handle objections. You are going to ask even more questions to see if the person is where you want them to be. And then you follow up. Again, basic. I'm not going deeper here for the sake of time, but this is basically what we do. The problem is the buyer dance. And buyer here for our conversation is anyone that is a person that can buy from you. It can be a buyer in a position of a buyer if you are negotiating with a company. It can be the owner of a company that you are proposing your solutions. It can be whatever person is your stakeholder in that negotiation. Okay? What happens when you go to a place to buy something? Let's say you are going to a dealership right now. Laura, you are going with me. Now you are not a salesperson. You are not with MHCC. You are with me going to buy a car. And then we get together, you pick me up here, and then we go to the Rochester Road. We get into the Chevrolet dealer. And then what happens when we get inside?
You get swarmed by salespeople, usually.
Right? But if they leave you alone, you are going to express interest, right? You are
Mhm.
going to look around, you are going to act motivated, you are going to open doors, get into cars, sit there. The salesperson eager to close, they are going to be on top of you. They shouldn't. They want to offer you to drive the car, whatever that is. And then because you are not ready to buy, you are just shopping around, you are going to obtain a bunch of information from them. They are going to give you free consulting. They are going to take you to their desk, give you all the prices, all the leasing information, the financing information. You are going to leave that store, and what you are going to say to the salesperson? I'm going to another dealer, and I'll call you when I'm ready. They are going to ask for your phone number, and then let's say you and I we left, and then across the like the same block we have a Cadillac. We went to the Cadillac store and we found something that it was more attractive to us. It doesn't matter what was the point of decision, price, the car, the salesperson, and then we buy the car there. Are you going to come back and let the salesperson from Chevrolet know that you bought the car at Cadillac? No,
Not likely.
no. And then what happens? You start avoiding commitment. And then the person starts calling you, sending you messages, and you keep in your head, oh, what a pain in the ass this person is. And then you completely disappear. How many of us had people ghosting us after we did all that we could to close a deal with them? How many of us? Anyone
Probably
in the
everyone on
chat?
this call.
Probably everyone on this call, and we are 14 here.
Mhm.
So you did all that. You were there like beautiful. Me in my high heels. I did my networking. I set a meeting. I sat with them. I presented my company. I sent my proposal, and then they poof disappear on thin air. What do you think happened?
They probably went with somebody else.
They probably did. Probably they did. But why they never told you? Should they? It's
Uh,
your obligation to come back to Chevrolet, tell them that you close with Cadillac.
I
No.
think we didn't build a relationship with them. Um, because you can continue communication even if they didn't choose you as your provider.
Exactly. Exactly. First of all, you didn't build any trust, created rapport, or anything like that. Second of all, probably the salesperson didn't ask enough questions before giving all the information to the client. You may ended up like in this kind of sales, giving them the information, but before you gotta ask questions. Hey, Laura, it's your first time like coming to a GM dealer. What exactly are you looking for? Instead of coming to offering like, oh, I have this beautiful Traverse, I have this beautiful Spark, I have this beautiful car. What if the salesperson comes to Laura and say, hey, Laura, what is important for you in a car? For what do you use the car? Are you using to travel, to be with your family, or maybe just to commute? Ask questions because you have a person that has 50-50% to buy from you. If they reach out to you, if they are open to have a meeting, it's because you have 50% chances to close. However, You are like, and when I say you, it's me as well. I'm a salesperson. Well, I forgot. We are talking about the neighbor and the friend. It's not us. We are eager and then we give all information. We don't ask more questions. Therefore, we don't know if the person is ready to buy, if they have the budget, if the time right, if there's somebody else that is the decision maker, what's going on before I present and propose. Also, you should never present your whole portfolio to somebody. You should target and present them only the thing that they are in need at that moment. And then, Yadira, when you try to cross sell and upsell, it's time for them to do that. Does that make sense?
It does.
I know. So I want you to think about it. Who is leading the buyer seller dance in your world? How does this play in your challenging times? Because this lunch and learn is about selling in challenging times, right? In challenging times or not, we don't have control to anything that the buyers have in their minds. We have control of what we have. We have control to the clients that we are prospecting. And more towards the end, I'm going to give you like a little tool that we use to identify in your business who might be the persons, the companies that are more willing to buy from you. Because even in tough times, someone is buying. Maybe it's not the usual someone that you used to prospect when everything is great, but someone is buying. Remember the pandemic? A lot of people got bankrupt, but a lot of people rose. Like Zoom, the tool that we are using right now, was barely known. And now they are everywhere. When we are doing a video call, you don't even say video call. You say, let's do a Zoom, right? And the same for your business, the same for my business. Maybe I need to be more strategic and stop and analyze who may be the perfect client at this moment in these times for my business. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Anyone wants to share like what is happening in your world?
I feel like in this time, in these challenging times, as you speak, Tati, is something that, yes, we experience not just now, but it's been happening, right? Especially in these in different companies and industries, the times are different and the challenges are different. But at the same time, I love what you said and what Ana Karina said before in terms of like building relationships. And for me, it's always about that and understanding our customer needs. What do you need? So I can speak more about what you will benefit from. And if I don't have it for you, I will make sure that you, I mean, maybe you're not the right for us, right? Maybe you're not
Yes.
the right person to, and it's okay to go to somebody else, right? But first, listening and understanding what this business needs is a foundation for make that route and help that business the best of our possibilities. And at the end of the day, the deal is not closed. We give what we try to help that business, and that's probably the first thing we should be aiming for when we sell something is what can I do for you? How can we help you? And then it becomes that win-win situation for both parts.
Yeah. And Dwayne, I see your hands. First of all, you correct me if I'm not saying your name correctly, please. But before I let you like speak, I agree with you in so many ways. First of all, it's not all the time that the client is ready for you. And it's easy to say when you are selling a lot, but when you need to sell to put food in your table, it's when it's dangerous. And this is why, even more, you have to prepare. Because when your funnel, um, I was talking to Laura before, like a funnel, a sales funnel, it's a funnel, right? Like I pour my coffee in a funnel. I do Brazilian coffee. When you have a lot of businesses here, it's better to our minds And then let me put this slide here because I think it's important. Because I know I have many possibilities. But if I don't have a sales process, I am not prospecting enough. I am not a member of Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm not networking enough. I may have that one business to close, and then I will do whatever the client wants, even if it's not good for me, because I need to close. I need to make the money. I need to make the commission. I need to keep my company going. So it's quite stressful. Whereas if you do this consistently, if you don't prepare yourself like today and then you run like a chicken without a head, and then next month you have to run again, if you stop to develop yourself and your team and your process, over time you are going to have robust and stronger businesses that you won't have to leave money at the table and do whatever the customer wants because you are desperate. It's the pipeline that you should build. Dwayne, please go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm finding that now in this market, I'm spending more time, and I actually have a protocol that I use, and it's very much like the one you laid out. But I'm spending more time developing that connection. The way we have to work is we have to be a trusted resource for the companies that work with us. So, but I'm finding that now there's more people who are don't trust what's going to happen in the future based on current events. And they
Yeah.
don't know whether this is a good industry to go into. So I'm spending more time again developing that trust, helping them to understand that yes, they do need these services, and you don't want to find yourself in a bad position because you've started a contract and don't understand all the ins and outs and things of that nature. But to your basic point, yes, I am spending a lot more time. Whether they go someplace or not is not so much of my concern, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure that I give them information that they don't feel that, um, so they don't feel like they're not getting anything. So no
Yes.
matter what happens, I make sure they have something to work with, and I find they come back in time. I don't close on the first date as much as I used to.
And they will come back for sure. So what you are doing is working your stress management, honestly. And it's always what I pray for people who are leading salesperson, or if you are your own person, your own salesperson. It's stressful when you don't have a clear understanding of your client's needs. If your solution is really for them, or your closing efforts are not helpful, like you are chasing people, and then you get so demoralized because you are getting rejections over rejections. You give discounts. In tough times, you should sell your products and services for the price that they value, unless you are making a partnership with the Michigan Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Otherwise, you should be prepared to stand for the value of what you offer. And it's hard. I had this lady, like, I don't want to get into many details here, but I had this lady doing coaching with me many, many years ago, and she was opening a microblading studio. And she was an immigrant as myself, and she was starting in this career. She was a lawyer in Brazil, and then she had a chance to start a new career here because when you moved, like you have to start over. So you have the I would say the blessing to pick and choose what you want because she was following her husband like I did. And in the beginning, although she put a lot of money training herself, and by the way, today she's a champion in her she won many awards in what she does in her industry. She's absolutely great. I can refer you to if you want to do your browns for girls, men's, or whatever. It's like she does. And she was really afraid to price the value of the time that she put to study and what she was giving to people. And then I told her for every $5, this is not, I'm not making this up. For every $5 that you give a discount, you are going to give me 10. This is our challenge. You are not allowed to give discount. And today she is not the cheapest. but she's the best. And people recognize her because she stood up for what she can bring to the table. Does that make sense? One Sandler rule is if you do not own a selling system of your own when you are in front of somebody that is a potential buyer for your services and products, you will immediately default to their system, whatever they want to do. And we don't want that. We don't want to when we don't want to be in this situation. To do that, there's a little trick that we teach and is our Sandler philosophy. The role of a salesperson is to create an atmosphere and environment that allows a customer to buy while the salesperson stays out of the way. Anyone here believe this is to be true?
I think I need to let that sink in.
Right? Because it's new, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. I think that I think it's definitely relevant, and I do think it's true. I think sometimes we get in our own way. Going back to the dealership, if somebody is too aggressive, to me, it's off-putting rather than really giving me what I need, right? Is asking me the questions of exactly what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to hear the rest of the fluff and what they tell everyone. I want to know that they're actually answering the questions that I need. And if they're too aggressive and they're too much and they're giving me more information that I care to hear, it's off-putting, right? Rather than giving me the notes and everything that I need, and then I could walk away and say, you know, I really like this other dealership, but I have everything that I need for this one, and it's
Yeah.
exactly what I was looking for. So I think it's definitely relevant.
Yes. And you know what? Pachi, I know you were going to say something.
I love that phrase that you have allows the customer to buy while the salesperson stay out of the way. That is exactly what we should do when we want to try to sell. It's like so invisible. It's about you. It's about your needs. It's about what can I do? And things will flow if we fulfill those needs.
Exactly. You know what? It's because maybe you are going to relate. People like to buy, but they don't like to be sold. People don't argue with their own data. I don't want anybody, and I don't need anybody to convince me of anything. So the salesperson, it needs to create an atmosphere that the person that to whom they are selling doesn't feel pushed. And one day I'm going to help to remove the stigma of pushy people being salespeople because I want people to be proud to sell something because the wheel is not going to roll if we are not selling. But it doesn't have to be pushy, which it doesn't mean that you don't have to put like boundaries and establish your upfront contract saying, this is what I expect from this meeting. And you are completely like open and free to tell me no. What I do not want is you to ghost me forever because I need to stand up because I have the same business stature as yourself. It's not because I'm trying to sell to Jeff that he's going to dominate the whole conversation and tell me what to do. So it's not what we say, it's the way we say. Selling is a dance and it's a beautiful one. It's between two people. If you try to be interested instead of interesting, not that you cannot be interesting, but if you are interested more than interesting, people are going to buy from you. Maybe not now. Maybe now they are waiting to see what the economy is going to go. But don't stop prospecting because in one point they are going to come back and talk to you. How many people come back to me to ask questions about an industry that I'm not in anymore? How, did it happen to you? Like you change industries, you change jobs, and then somebody just calls you and say, Dwayne, I just want your opinion. I know you are not doing this anymore, but I want your opinion. because you were able to be genuinely interested in what the person has to say. 2 ears, one mouth. Couldn't be like more appropriate to a salesperson. So let's talk about searching for opportunities. Now that we understand that people will continue to buy even in difficult times, we must understand what and how they are buying. The needs are still there, but we as a sales professionals need to be more strategic and creative to adapt to the way our clients are buying now. Before I go, I just want to see if anyone wants to chime in, say something. The chat box, how it is, Laura? Questions, concerns, tomatoes?
Oh, tomatoes so far. I think this is a really interactive group, so don't be shy. Please ask your questions in the chat. I think this is um, so very relevant and so important. I can relate to so much of it, and professionally and also personally when as a buyer, when you go and buy something, think about somebody who really made an impact and you're like, okay, I'm not ready for this now, but I know exactly who to go to when I am. And who am I going to refer them to, right? I may know of somebody who is in need of that service, and I know exactly who I trust,
Mm-hmm.
who I know they're not going to, just try to price out everything, and it's really important to them to know what the needs are. So, anyone else, just open up your chat. Anything so far that you think was pretty impactful from everything that Tati has shared with us?
Are you trying to unmute yourself? Yeah, I
I
can unmute
feel,
you.
oh, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
I just feel that I love the searching for opportunities means to me planting seeds. I feel like the more you plant, you might not see the results right away because each seed is different. Some seeds have to go down and grow inwards, like the bamboos, like have to go down before it goes up. And businesses are like that sometimes. But the more you plant, and be patient and wait and constant and water
Yeah,
and then be the right amount. Because we know plants, if you water too much, they
they will
they
die.
die. If
Hmm.
you don't do it, they die too. So I think finding the right amount of um water and sun and anything in between for nurture that relationship and building that trust is what is going to give you that flower at the end. That's what I just see it.
Yes. Go ahead.
And on my end, I think what you said is very important about the process and creating relationships. I'm in the middle of teaching the people that work for me how to sell our products, how to engage with the client, how to understand their needs, and also how our company meets their needs. And so when you're teaching, because when it's yours and you're selling your own products, it's very easy because then you have so many resources and availability. But then when you're relying on others on selling what you have to offer, that has been one of my biggest challenges because one, you have to let go, two, you want to make sure there's a process in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of it. And so thank you for that. I think creating a relationship is one of the things that I've want to teach the people that are working for me on selling. I think that's key um, for them because you don't even if you don't sell right now, maybe in the future. I hope when they think if you ever want to run a marathon, think of us. You might
Yes.
not be willing to run a marathon today, but I don't know, maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, a half marathon. And so now you think of us, you're the first person to think of when you make that decision.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I think I have a client to refer to you.
Awesome.
Dwayne?
Thank you.
I was just
Yeah.
about to say Ana Karina, and it may not be for the exact person, or if somebody has gone through the courses with you and they're like, I know exactly of what person I'm trying to get into this, hobby. And it's really important to be memorable. So sorry, Dwayne, go ahead.
No, that's quite all right. In fact, um, I said, oh, BFit running. Yeah, it's interesting that you kind of brought that topic up because the main reason why I'm on here today is we're in the process of hiring additional consultants.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have tried to do is to develop a manuscript that will help because everything we do is typically on Zoom, remote Teams, whatever. And I've been developing a manuscript which closely followed your design there. So I was just trying to locate it there a moment ago to see just how closely it was because I did see some very close parallels. So that is why I'm going to be interested in this as we continue, but also in finding those clients too, as I expressed before. I'm trying to
Yes,
make sure that I can kind of do a pre-qualification that allows me to, kind of shunt in different directions the different types of clients that we run into. And I like your point about the fact that by developing a close enough relationship with them, but knowing when it's time to shunt them in a different direction, we can still have a trust relationship that may come back later. But then I can focus my attention on those who really need my services and can benefit from it right now.
exactly.
So looking forward to
Exactly.
the rest of your presentation.
I absolutely love that. I love what you both said. Like when you have to transfer your knowledge to somebody else or hire somebody, it's tough. Like you have to delegate, you have to let go, you have to coach. But the good news is help is on the way. It's like the Mrs. Doubtfire, right? Yes. I just put in here like a little bit of what I do and what we teach when we are teaching people in a more complex selling. We have enterprise selling or other courses. We always like rely on marketing information, the internet, LinkedIn resources. I use a LinkedIn Navigator heavily. I also do a lot of, I rely on my CRM, my customer relationship management system. I live and breathe. This is the first thing that I open in my Google when I start my day, so I can stay organized and I can stay on top of things. And I have the benefit of like, and by the way, we sell this, but we are not talking about selling. I have my CRM embedded with Sandler content, meaning that the machine gives me feedback every time that I talk to someone, telling me that I'm not doing right. So it's an amazing thing that you have like the help of AI to support our selling strategies. This is just a few like suggestions for you. And of course, I'm not going to dig into this because we all know that AI is powerful, and you can use a bunch of Copilot, ChatGPT to help you out to find information. Mainly before you call somebody, I will never call a client without doing my due diligence. I use Zoom Info, I use my CRM, but I also use AI in many shapes or and forms to be able to go and be interesting in a certain amount of time to show that I am interested to my potential clients. And at Sandler, we have a bunch of tools that provides AI. One I'm going to show you at the end that is our AI role play coach. That is literally every time that a client comes to our training sessions, they have available for them as many times as they wish during the in between sessions our AI role play, meaning that they don't have to practice in front of a prospect. Imagine like I want to get into in front of Pachi. I am trying to get in her schedule like so hard. I finally did. I'm not going to practice on her. So I practice on my AI role play to support me to commit as many mistakes as I want, and the thing gives me feedback. Let's explore now. We are getting to the end, like it's 30 minutes to finish. I cannot believe it that we are here for an hour. Let's explore another tool that can help you to redirect your sales efforts. I'm building here a SWOT analysis. Anyone here is familiar with SWOT analysis? Many of us, I don't know, Laura, if anybody in the chat, it's chiming in. This
We
is a
have a
tool
couple of
that
yeses. Yeah.
yes, right? It's a
Hmm.
tool that is like super spread out, so it's not something new by any means, but it's something that I suggest to you to do all the time for your company and yourself, so you can SWOT analysis yourself as a salesperson, as a leader, and SWOT your company, especially in tough moments when you really need to position your company properly to the right clients to approach. So the strengths are clear, like these are internal characteristics that provide a clear advantage. Like, what are your strengths? Me as a Sandler, my strengths are all the heavy AI support that I have, and 50 years in the business and my training being tested by psychologists. I do reinforcement training. And then, what are the weaknesses? These are your internal attributes that can create disadvantage, like limiting your ability to achieve your goals. It's not that you cannot like rely on weaknesses too. Maybe you can work on to compare yourself to a competitor. What I have less that a competitor has more, and I can position myself even in a conversation with a client. Maybe you are not going to overcome the weaknesses, but if you are prepared, if a prospect asks you about your competitor, you are not getting off guard, right? There's nothing worse that somebody put us in a corner and we are off guard, not able to respond to that question. Then you have to build on your opportunities. These are what is attractive, positive external factors that increase the chances of you achieving your goals. I can just think that maybe it's a great opportunity for me to sell sales training because people need to sharpen their access in difficult times. At the same time, maybe the threat that I have is people are spending less money in things that they may not believe that are helpful to them. So it's an objection that I have to overcome instead of because I believe training is something needed all the time, but people tend to put training in the corner when they are not willing to spend money. If I do this exercise for my company, what happens is I am not caught off guard when I have to have this very strategic conversation with people, with my teams. How am I going to prepare my teams to go to a client and have this kind of conversations? And this is not only B2B selling, it's B2C as well, because you might do the exercise and just check it out what people are facing in their lives in these tough moments, that you can be the solution or you can be somebody that is going to be prepared to overcome their objections. Does that make sense? Anyone here ever did this exercise? What were the findings, Mark?
Sorry. Um, well, it was quite a while ago. But reflecting on recent happenings and conversations, um, strengths would be more along the lines of my ability to manage operations. Um, uh,
And
but
I don't hope you go over all of it. Like you don't have to like feel that
okay,
you have to remember everything.
okay. Weaknesses, an inability to listen well at times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so those are a couple from my side.
Yeah, nice. Dwayne, thank you.
Yeah, I share some of those same weaknesses, Mark. Um, I think the biggest thing for me when I started doing these SWOT analysis was first of all to appreciate how important they are to
Mm-hmm.
being able to grow whatever it is you're doing. And then what I also found out is that they are dynamic. They have to be dynamic. Your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, threats, they change all the time. So if you just do a SWOT analysis when you're trying to go for a loan or something like that, and you never do it again, you know, 3, 4 years later, it's probably the threats and everything have changed. For instance, in my industry, right now we've got an administration which is, makes people feel uncomfortable getting into the federal arena. My job is to reveal that is not the case. In fact, now is the best time to begin to put yourself in a position to get those awards. But you got to start the process. So, but that didn't, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, that wasn't a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So it just demonstrates how dynamic that SWOT analysis is and why you have to stay on top of it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's a very powerful and simple tool that you don't have to be a PhD. You just have to be intentional to really use some time yourself or you and your team to dig into it, because then you are going to target markets, industries, clients that makes more sense for you at that time, because we don't have that much time in a day. And you need to sell, you need to achieve your goals, you need to put money in your pocket. So be targeted and really intentional when you are selling. It's the magic. Not just wake up and just believe that you can do it and just do it, whatever. Like it's going everywhere and shooting to 200 billion emails and prospecting like crazy, which helps you too. But if you do this in a manner that you are going to follow your system, probably is going to get better. And this is when I bring to you something that we lean on, and this is Sandler exclusive. It was developed by psychologists, and everything that we do, it's based on this success triangle that you are seeing. The triangle is a very strong shape, right? And if you remove a part of the triangle, it's not going to stand. And this is what we believe, that we help people. And we believe that sales professionals and any professional for that matter should rely on. First of all, the attitude. And again, I'm not going to dig super deep. This is a full class as well. The attitude is what we call at Sandler the head trash. You wake up in the morning and you believe that you can do it, or maybe you don't. Maybe you are not in the best mood ever. You are not feeling so great. The day before you got a bunch of rejections and then you are struggling with it. Or quite the contrary, you are really ready to go and then you are going to wake up 4 in the morning to go for a run because you are motivated and you can do it. But then let's say you wake up super pumped to go for a run, but you don't have the technique. You didn't hire the fit running, and then you start running in a manner that is going to hurt your feet. You don't have the technique. I believe to run a marathon, you have to be coached like in a certain way. You have to maybe buy the proper shoes for your feet. Maybe you have to step in a different way. You have to breathe in a different way. And if you don't have the technique, you probably are not going to achieve the results. And then the behavior. Let's say you have the proper attitude, you believe you can do it, and then you were coached by the fit running, but then you don't wake up because you were partying the last night in the Michigan Hispanic Gala and you were messed up, and then you don't put in practice. You don't do it. Was the shape like the triangle is going to work? No. So you have to work in your mindset. You have to work in the technique, how to sell, when to sell, to whom to sell, how many, how to measure, how many calls, how many reaches, when is the time to ask for the closing, when is the time to step back, how to handle objections, and then you have to do it. You are not coming to my training if you don't execute. I don't want to, because then you are going out there saying that my training doesn't work. The same thing for you, like they hire you to coach them, but then they drink too much, they eat too much, they sleep too little, they are not going to put in practice. Does that make sense? Another thing that we do is to cover all the facets in a wheel. This is another, like a full class as well. I just wanted to show you because I think it's important for you. Take a screenshot, whatever you want. If you are not doing, you should consider that you have phases in your sales. You have to engage, and this is where you see the light blue in my wheel. You have to engage, you have to build trust, you have to know how to communicate, you have to mirror your buyer style. You need to establish an upfront contract. What do we want to achieve in this conversation? Then you have to dig into pain, that is the qualifying. Did I ask enough questions to know if the client is the right client for me? Do I really know what they need and what time they need? I can offer many solutions. It's what kind of solution am I going to propose? You don't want to you don't want to bury your client with all that you can offer. I'm pretty sure that, Yadira, you have many products in your portfolio, but you don't want to like give everything to them because they are going to get confused. Like if I go to a shoes store and they have 50 pairs, how long do you believe I'm going to take to pick one shoe? Forever. If I have three options, okay, I'm going to the MHCC gala, so I'm not buying a sneaker. I need to buy maybe a sandal and high heels. So I know what I want and what kind of product is going to fit my feet at that time. Then you need to know who is deciding. Then you go to closing. You propose the right solution. If I'm going to a gala, I'm not buying a flip flop. So why the salesperson is pushing me to buy a flip flop? There's no point, and I'm going to run away from that store without never coming back. And then finally, the post sale. I always say the post sale is the first step of the next sale. If you don't do this right, it's one sale and you are over. Nobody wants that, right? You want to sell more. You really want to sell more. I'm stopping here because now is the time to like give you a little bit of what the chamber is going to offer for all of us and for you. So, questions, comments, concerns, your story.
Thank you so much, Tati. If anyone has any comments or questions, please let us know. But in the meantime, I just want to say how wonderful this presentation is and how many different aspects of sales that you don't necessarily think about that Tati can absolutely assist with, right? Everything is relevant, everything is it's easy to understand, and it could be easier to understand if you have a sales team or a sales lead as well, which is so important. It's so important to invest in those roles. And it's not just about, selling your product, is knowing who you're selling it to, knowing your target audience, building that relationship and how to do it in a way that you are positively memorable, not to that
Mhm.
salesperson that you never want to talk to again, but it's somebody who you're like, if I don't need their service, I'm going to recommend them each time that I think of somebody who needs this service. So I'll
Yeah.
just pause there. Is there any questions or comments, Mark, Bati? I know you're on the call as well. Anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, I will just reiterate, wonderful presentation. Just amazingly down to earth, simple. But the key word that you used is execution, right? Taking this and applying it is really where the rubber meets the road. And I think this is definitely wetted my whistle to look to the future and your class offerings. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Tati, because this is wonderful. As Mark said, it's very easy to understand and maybe hard to apply when you have to try to find the right balance. But I feel like the practice makes the master, and the more practice you do, and I feel too that it's very valuable that going to the insights of what or every concept that you explain I want to know more. I just definitely want to know more. I want to go into dive into each one of them and learn more because there's so much more that I know you have to offer in your packages that you have. I'm very interested, and I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity for giving us the pearls without getting
Yeah.
anything, but I would definitely would be interested in learning more. And we're very proud that you are part of the MHCC and we
I
can
am
be
very
happier.
proud. I'm very proud. And if I can give like one testimonial here, because I know this is still being recorded, I guess. It's
Yes, please do.
I belong to other chambers, but full transparency, I am not sure if I'm going to renew next year because it's not only the fact that we have this connection, culturally speaking, there's nothing to do with it because I think I told you when I reached out to you, you didn't know I was Latina. And the response that I had from the chamber, it was quick, it was professional, and all of you took the time to understand what I do. And then this is why we are doing this. This is why I sponsor the chamber. This is why, like, even being such a solo proprietor, I decided to sponsor the chamber because you make this, you are interested, not just selling to me how interesting it is to be in a chamber. And finally, here, before I move to the next one thing that I like to tell people about sales is I always use the athletes analogy because think about Simone Biles. This woman, she is a powerhouse. She always been like I don't. She always been for us, but we don't know how much effort she put to getting to where she is today. And even her, she had a mental breakdown and she had to step back, reconvene, put herself together to come back. So you might consider yourself the best salesperson in the world, but you should never stop looking to yourself and revisiting and continue doing, continue developing. Or if you are in the starting point to being a salesperson, you can be a Simone Biles because it's not night and day. Like you have to start from someplace. Whatever you are going to do, just to start.